Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm going to show you how to host any number of secure websites from your own virtual machine. If you want to jump ahead, here are the video timestamps. First, we're going to create a virtual machine. Then we're going to install the web server software. Then on the virtual machine, we will create paths for each of our websites for the files to be hosted. Since we have more than one website we're hosting, we're going to create what are called VirtualHost files. They map the incoming domain to the files of the website. Then we'll create a static IP address. Then we'll install the HTTPS certificate. And finally, I'll show you how to automatically renew these certificates. So the first thing we're going to do is go to cloud.google.com and click console. Then we're going to go to compute engine. So just type compute engine and choose it. You can also find that in the side menu. And we're going to enable the API. Okay, and now we should be at compute engine VM instances. We're going to create an instance. Okay, for the name, I'm going to call this web hosting, and I'm going to make this local to me. So US West 2, and any zone will be fine. Next, we're going to change the series to the first generation. You can, by all means, choose any computer you want, but I want to minimize cost. So first generation, and then the machine type will be F1 micro. You'll be able to see what that cost is up top right. If you're going to be using local databases, you will want more memory, at least 1 gig, but for hosting a dozen websites, this is more than enough. Now, this is personal preference here. I'm going to switch from Debian, and I'm going to go to Ubuntu, and that'll be Ubuntu 20.04 LTS, or long-term solution. Just don't use minimal. Minimal is for a server that's not going to be logged into by a user, and we will be logging in. And 10 gigs is more than enough as well. Select. Default access is fine, and we need HTTP and HTTPS traffic, and create. Okay, that's all we needed to do in order to get our own virtual machine, our own server for web hosting. The next thing we'll do is log in, so just click SSH, and our software upgrades and then our software installs are going to be nice and straightforward. First, I'm going to upgrade everything. Google does a great job at giving recent builds, but I still want to upgrade. So sudo apt update. This will update all of the servers we look at to get upgraded files, and then sudo apt upgrade. And this is all of our software upgrades. Do you want to continue? Yes. And now all we need to say is sudo apt install Apache 2. Do you want to continue? Yes. And that's all there is for software installs. I'm going to have my web server host 2 sites. One for myself, it'll be ryan.com, and one for my mom, susan.net. So I'm going to now build these paths so we have an index file to print out for each of the websites. And all of these steps are going to be in a document linked in the description below. So we're going to make a folder for the HTML for all of our files for each website. So sudo make dir -p, and then var www, then your domain name /HTML. And now a website from my mom, sudo make dir -p var www.susan.net /HTML, cd into the Ryan Logsdon, we'll just call it ryan.com/HTML, sudo nano index.html. This is the page it's going to load, so we know that we've done everything right. And I'll paste in here, it'll just say welcome to ryan.com, and I'll control X. Do you want to save? Yes, and enter. Now we'll go to the second website, cd var www, the second domain /HTML, and we'll run the exact same command, sudo nano index.html. And this HTML page just says welcome to susan.net. Control X, yes, and enter. So now we've created the web pages and they're ready to be hosted. We have to create a virtual host file for every site we host. And this is going to let Apache know that for every domain, it points to a given folder that we've just created. So you go to ryan.com, you get the ryanlogsdon.com /HTML folder as your base for the domain. So for this, we have to go to where Apache lists all sites available. cd etc etc /Apache2 /sites-available. And if you just press LL or ls-al, you get to see there's only one default called 000-default.conf. We're going to make 2 new conf files, 1 per domain, and they'll be named after the domains. So sudo nano ryan.com.conf. What the virtual host file says is whenever you go to port 80, the document root will be hosted or found at var www ryan.com/html. The folder and the index file that we just created are there. So Control X, Do you want to save? Yes. And enter. Now I'll create sudo nano susan.net.conf. And the only differences here are it points to her domain, and the document root goes to the folder that we created for her index file. So Control X, save buffer, yes, and enter. Now we're going to let Apache load these files. So for that, it's sudo a2ensite, and then the name of the files, ryan.com.conf, and sudo a2ensite susan.net.conf. We're also going to tell Apache to forget about its 000 default conf file. So that's sudo a2 disassociate dissite 000.conf. And now we need to reload Apache so all of these take effect. And for that, the command is sudo service apache2 reload. And just like that, our server is live. The only thing that's stopping us from letting anyone online go to our websites is having a static IP. So to get a static IP, what we need to do is go back to Google Cloud Platform. I'll go to Menu, and I'll scroll far down to Networking, then VPC Network, then External IP Addresses, and it's going to show the IP address that's associated with the VM we just created. So change this from ephemeral to static. And the name, I'll call it Web Hosting IP, and reserve. So I'm going to copy that, and all of my domains are hosted by Google, so my next step, I'm going to go to Google Domains, then My Domains. Then for every site that I'm hosting, I need to go over to Manage, and I'll just do this on one for the tutorial. Go to DNS, and scroll to the very bottom to Custom Resource Records. Click Edit, and paste in the IP address that you just made static. We need two records for this to work. One is the A record, so the name is @, type is A, time to live doesn't matter, but I have 3 hours, and then we have our static IP. Press Save. Then you'll need to create a second one that's named www cname, time to live doesn't matter, but 1 hour is fine. And then you want to say your domain with a period at the end. So in this case, susan.net and then save that. This will allow you to go to, say, ryan.com or www.ryan.com. Okay, this says it should take up to 48 hours. I usually see a change within about 5 or 10 minutes. And there we have it. Okay, so my mistake right there was by default, Chrome wants HTTPS. So I told it, go to HTTP, susanlogson.net. That works. And now I would like it to go without the www. That works as well. Great, now we have our websites hosted. The next thing to do is get our security certificates installed. So that way we can go to HTTPS. So to do that, we type sudo snap install -- classic certbot. Enter. And now the next step we do once for every domain that we're hosting. So this command is very long, but we're going to break it down. First we say sudo certbot. That's the free service that gives us an HTTPS certificate. We're telling it to use the Apache server, so -- Apache. And then we're going to tell it where the path is to our web files. So -- webroot path is var/www/ the first domain /html. Then for every -d, that's which domains that we want associated with this cert. So I'll say -d for susan.net and -d for www.susan.net. So whenever it's time for getting renewals, we need to put in a valid email address and certbot will send an email to us. Do you agree with the terms of service? Yes. Would you be willing to share your email? It doesn't matter, I'll say no. Press enter, and that's that, successfully deployed. And that's all it takes. Let's go back and see if we can get to, there we have it. We have secure HTTPS. Okay, the very last part we need to do is every 3 months we have to renew. And you don't have to personally keep track of which sites need to be renewed at what point. We're just going to issue one command and certbot will take care of it all for us. In 3 months' time, you just log back into your VM. You type sudo certbot renew. It'll go through all the domains that it knows that it's tracking, and it will see if it's time to update a certificate. In this case, it says it has skipped the susan.net one, but about 1 week prior to it being time for renewal, it will actually renew it for you. So that's all it takes to host any number of domains you want on a server that costs about $5 per month on Google Cloud. I really hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, I always answer the comments, so thank you very much.